Okay. One thing we talk about kites is that the top two sides and the bottom two sides are equal, not all four. I could do it with slashes, or I could even do numbers. I could say this is 5, this is 5, to say they're equal. The bottom are 7 and 7. So I can do that. But now, when I talk about angles, I'm going to talk about the inside of the angles. They should add up to 360. The four angles of a kite should add up to 360. And you guys have a formula, n minus 2 times 180. That's how I figured they all have to add up to 360, right? Is the inside of a polygon. Now, interesting part that we have seen before on the kite is that the two angles at the side are equal. I'm going to write the number on the outside because I'm going to deal with the inside in a minute. Let's say those two are 100 each. Now the other angles, let me call this angle right here 90, and let me call this angle right here 70. If you were to add the four angles, it is 360, right? So I'm keeping it at that. It's just that the two side angles are equal. Now I'm going to talk about our diagonals, which are these two. Those are our diagonals of the figure. The diagonals, what they do is that the angle on the top and the angle on the bottom, they get cut in half. So the angle on the top is 90. I'm going to cut it in 45, 45. The angle at the bottom is 70. I'm going to cut it in 35, 35. So the angle on the top, the angle on the bottom get cut in half. Now the side angles, they don't. They don't get cut in half. They just get cut into two numbers that add up, in this case, 100. So matter of fact, this case, I'm going to chop them off as 45 and 55. I will tell you guys in a minute how I figured it was 45 and 55. What I want to focus right now is the angle on the top and the angle on the bottom get cut in half, but the side angles do not. Now, one thing that the diagonals have is that in the center, any angle in the center is 90 degrees. So that's 90, that's 90, this is 90, this is 90, right? In the center, they're all 90. That's the interesting part on them. And if you notice, my diagonals will cut my kite into four triangles. I'm going to highlight that triangle. And that is how I knew that one of my angles was 55. Because I know on a triangle, all three angles have to add up to 180. So that's how I knew how to cut it. So remember, the top angle, the bottom angle are cut in half. In the center, they're all 90 degrees. And then the cool thing is that it cut my kite into four triangles. Now, on your homework, I will give you something like this. I will call it a kite. And I could call this angle 41. I could call this angle X and ask you to solve for X. If you notice, the top angle is 41 and 41 because I cut it in half. In the center, there's a 90 degree. Then just focus on the triangle that has X, and you can easily solve for X. So it is doable, but that's how you're going to see it on your homework. Now, the rules, that's basically it. Angles-wise. Thank you. When it comes to the sides or measurements, let me take a look on my second figure. I'm looking at my diagonals. The diagonal that connects the sides, and I'm talking about this one, right? If you stand it up, the diagonal that connects the sides, that diagonal gets cut in half. So if this is 5, this other side is 5. It gets cut in half. Now the diagonal that goes from the top to the bottom, not in half, in any measurement. Let's say the whole thing was 12, just to say a number, from the top to the bottom. I could cut it as a 2 and 9, right? Not necessarily in half. The only one that gets cut in half is the one that connects the sides. That's the only one. On your homework, I'll give you guys a kite. Let me call this side N. Let's call this side L. And I'll give you your measurements here. And I can come and say, this is 3. Find the measure of NL, the distance between N and L, which in this case you should say 6. Right? 3 and 3, the whole thing is 6. So that's how you're going to see it. Any questions so far? Now on trapezoids, You guys see number 3? Top and bottom are parallel, not necessarily the same side. Two angles at the side on a trapezoid, they have to add up to 180. If this angle here is 80, I'm going to say this one right here has to be 100. Those two angles have to add up to 180. The other two angles also have to add up to 180. They don't always repeat. I could change it as in 30 and 150, right? Whichever two numbers that add up to 180. The only thing though, if I tell you that the two sides are equal, so I'm dealing with an isosceles trapezoid, then the numbers on this side, on the left side of our figure, they will have to repeat on the other side. This will be 100 and this will be 80, only if it is an isosceles trapezoid. On your homework, you might have a isosceles trapezoid. I could come and say this is 50, and I want you to solve for x and y. You know that the two angles on the side add up to 180. One of them is 50. You can figure what the other one is. And because it is isosceles, the angles on the left repeat on the right. So you can solve for x and you can solve for y. And then there's even pictures where I'll give you guys a trapezoid, and on top of it, I'm going to add a kite. So if you're whatever you're working with is the trapezoid, use the rules of a trapezoid. If whatever you're working with is on the kite, then use the rules of a kite. Any questions? There's even a question that I'm going to call this A, I'm going to call this B, and I'm going to call this 34. If you notice, the top is a triangle. 34 is the big side. I know I used to add the two smaller sides, and it has to be bigger than the long side. So A plus B is bigger than 34. That's going to be the setup. Make sure you guys read the instructions on that question, and you guys should be able to finish with A is greater than something. I'm going to ask you, complete A is greater than, and then you guys complete it. Like I said, take a look at, if you run into this, that's going to be a guide on how to work that question. Any questions?